Alrighty, so next thing we will need to do is to set up the API endpoint that will parse and validate the public key credentials sent back from the iOS app to the server. So if you can see here on the WebAuthn documentation, this will be the public key credential. And let's see here, it's an example, but this isn't in Swift, so I'll show you guys what we need to do from here. So session routes, and instead of a get, this is going to be a post, and we will call this one MAKECREDENTIAL as well, but this will be a post instead. All right, and then we'll take the request and return an HTTP status instead. Okay. All right, so first thing we need to do is to create our user instance. So we do user equals try request dot user, or sorry, dot auth dot require user dot self. All right, and then next we will need to obtain the challenge that we stored on the server previously. So let's do that. So we do guard let challenge encoded equal request dot session dot data, and we will grab that from our storage and our server. Okay, and we need to also convert it into a data from our base64. Okay, challenge, pass that challenge encoded in. Okay, and this is a guard statement, else throw it abort for status of bad request, and pass in a reason as well, error encoding challenge from server. Okay, all right, so after we grab our challenge in our guard statement, we can just delete the challenge from the server, and this is for security protocols. Have that equal nil to delete it. All right. Okay, so next we will have we will then verify the credential sent back from our iOS project. So to do that, we need to declare a function that actually returns a credential, as you can see here from the WebAuthn API library. So from here, we'll create an instance of a credential, and then we need a try to finish our registration, since this throws. All right, so first thing we would need is the challenge. So we have that up here from our guard statements. So pass in the challenge. Okay, and then the next thing we need is our credential creation data, and that is the one that is returned back from our client or iOS app. So we would get that from our request.content and decode, and it will be of type registration credential.self, and this will be part of the WebAuthn library, And if you click in here, and you can see a little bit more on the documentation of the model itself. Okay. All right, and then next we will have the confirm credential ID not registered yet. So this will double check to make sure that there is not an existing WebAuthn credential. So for that, we'll pass string in, or actually let's call this credential ID. Okay, and then from here, let's call our existing credential. Okay, and then we will query from WebAuthn credential. From our database. Okay, and then we'll filter it out so that the ID equals the credential ID first, and return existing credential equals nil. All right, so this will ensure that that there's not an existing WebAuthn credential already in there. And then lastly, we will try to save our WebAuthn credential. Let's see. We'll grab the user ID from our user. And save it on our database. Let's see. User.require ID, and then save it on our database. Okay, and then if everything goes well from trying to save our WebAuthn credential in our database, we will return a .ok for our HTTP status. Okay, let's see. We have an error here though. I believe we have to return. Nope. Let's see. Cannot convert value board to closure to HTTP status. Okay. Because this will throw. Hopefully that goes away. Yep. All right. And that's it. Okay. So next thing we'll move on to is the authentication. But other than that, most importantly, we will have to see if our iOS project performs the API requests without any errors on our registration and authentication. But the last API endpoints that we will move on to will be the authentication side of things. So we'll go on from there.